Greetings, folks. This is the first video in a series that I hope will see infrequent entries called Frustration 101, where we will highlight a game or review a game where we may win or lose, but the game play difficulty for us is unnecessarily high because of choices and gameplay exhibited by our teammates. In this particular match, Lynn Wilkie in the Aigle, Jimijaz in the Cleveland, and myself in the Nürnberg are divvied up in a tier 8 match on Estuary in domination mode. And we started out here on the west flank and head out toward A to try to capture and defend that point. And you may notice that from the very onset of the match, and this highlights the problems that we have during this match, the westernmost battleship, the Monarch here behind me, has decided to Lemming with the rest of the team to Delta. So that leaves 2 light cruisers and a destroyer to attempt to either cap or at least delay progress of the opposing team that will come to the west flank. Now, the best that we can hope for is that their team Lemmings as well, and we can take A without little challenge, but as we can see, we already have a destroyer in the Moss, a Graf Spee, and most critically, a Bismarck have shown up. Which means that there is no way for us to, and a Leander as well, there's no way for us to be able to take this cap by just the 3 of us. Our best option at this point is to go into a tactical retreat and basically delay the progress of the team. And very early on in the match, this opposing frigate gets a detonation on our Mahan, and so we are already down 1 ship. Now, I'm not going to blame the Mahan. The detonation is a random act. I'm not sure I agree with the Mahan's positioning there, what he was trying to do, but nonetheless, we already had some bad luck there. So, like I said, the best thing to do is to tactically retreat and delay the advance of the western flank. Now, you'll notice on the east side, over by D, where 75% of the remaining team, or the majority of the remaining team are, our DD is in the cap, but none of the other ships are in the cap with him, attempting to defend him or support him as well as they could. So in just a moment here, our other friendly destroyer, the Gnevny, is about to be sunk, and that will put us down 2 destroyers and just leave Lynn as the sole destroyer remaining for the remainder of this match on our side. Now, since Jimijaz and I are in light cruisers, we always have to be mindful of what can shoot at us. I am deliberately holding my fire here because I'm clearly can be fired upon by the Bismarck, but since I had already gotten detected, it looks like the frigate or one of the other destroyers has lit me up. Now is the time to start firing. And as you can see at the Delta cap, we've already lost our destroyer. We have overwhelming force there. The team should just kind of march in and just dominate and take the cap. But they don't do that. They are just camping there. They have clear visibility on the opposing destroyer. Should be focusing him down, which it looks like they are starting to do. But there's no reason that they cannot dominate and take that cap. So here we are retreating and trying to hold off the advance of the western flank. Sims goes down. That leaves no destroyer on the east flank, and so now our team is moving into the Delta cap. So the Bismarck here is firing on me. I'm lucky I just take a couple of overpens. I'm always mindful when I'm in these light cruisers of who is aiming at me, so I can steer away or kite away so I avoid or minimize the amount of damage I'm taking. Nürnberg is particularly good at kiting because of the AXY turret layout. A lot of people are not don't really like that turret structure or turret layout, but I find it very useful because a lot of cruisers are able to successfully play in a kiting posture, and some ships are better able to kite than others, and the Nürnberg is among the best in the game for doing that. Now, the Leander here and the Mahan are training smoke. So it's making it particularly difficult to try to have any sustained fire on them. So I think what's happening is the Mahan is spotting for them while the Lander is able to stay in smoke and put some fire down on both Lin and Jimijaz. Now, the next big problem, in addition to having overwhelming force at Delta and then taking too long to dominate and go and take that cap, which we now have done, the majority of our team is far too far to the east, and they're concentrating on a body of ships that are in the northeast corner, rather than focusing on either coming back to defend the Charlie cap, which is what we're attempting to do, or to advance and push on the Bravo cap. The team seems to be more focused on just sort of mindlessly shooting at ships that they can see, rather than focusing on taking and holding objectives. Jimijaz and Lin have been taking more sustained damage than I have. I have the advantage of having better range and better ballistics than Jimijaz, and certainly better range than the Aigle. So they have been facing more of the firepower than I have, and they've taken substantially more damage than I have at this point. Fortunately, the Bismarck turned around. I'm not sure why, but I suppose he was going to try to bolster the eastern flank, which frankly might not have been a bad idea. We do have the Graf Spee, the Mahan, or is that a Moss? I can't remember. And continuing to push, and now we have this Queen Elizabeth that's starting to come in. I'm sorry, it was a Moss, not a Mahan. So I've turned around because we're kind of getting pushed here. I really want to try to prevent the opponents from getting into Charlie. We have two caps. We actually technically have the lead. We have the ship lead, but I'm very uncomfortable with the positioning of our team, which you can see becomes more and more extreme to the east, with many ships on the 9 and 10 line, and concentrating again on the ships that are in the northeast corner, rather than making a push or an advance to take Bravo or to come back and support Charlie. I'm also concerned about this. I keep getting targeted. As you can see, I got 3 people targeting me. I know at least one of them is the destroyer, and probably the Graf Spee or the Leander. But I'm also worried about this Queen Elizabeth, who can easily citadel me at any angle and could quickly end the match for me. So now the priority kind of becomes the Leander, because he's the one that's the biggest threat to taking Charlie. Lin and the Aigle is almost down. He's been doing his level best to, play like a Khabarovsk and trying to hold off the advance, but so far he's taken a lot of damage, as has Jimijaz in the Cleveland. Again, we still technically have the lead. We still technically have the ship lead. Or now we no longer have the ship lead. Jimijaz has now been finished off by the Graf Spee. So we're even on ships, and now the opponents are in Charlie and taking that cap. And again, the vast majority of our team's firepower continues to ride in the 9 and 10 line without any advance towards Bravo or any attempt to come back and defend Charlie. There will be a North Carolina that will turn around here shortly, but it isn't clear whether he provides any effective firepower to helping preserve Charlie at this point. So Lynn and I continue to be in full retreat. I can't see. I'm detected. I've got 3 people looking at me, including what I suspect is the Queen Elizabeth. So I have to be very mindful of, who can be shooting at me. And that's why I'm constantly maneuvering, constantly changing speed and direction to try to make it harder for them to hit me. Leander is close to death, and we've also lost Lynn and his heroic attempts to put down the Leander or the Moss, and so just leaving me as the sole surviving member of the division, and the only thing that had been attempting to hold off the western flank. Again, most of the team is riding the 8, 9, 10 line, including now myself because I've been pushed so far back. And the best thing that we can do right now, since the team is not really making a push to try to take any more caps, is to try to sink ships as quickly as we can to reduce the point deficit. Don't want to run into the island, but fortunately I go into concealment. I'm able to make a turn safely here. Now, you'll notice on my port side, the North Carolina has turned around. Not clear to me whether he's here to provide any really strong firepower. We did sink the Bismarck, so now we're back even on ships, but we have a significant point deficit now, almost 200 points, because they've now taken and held the Charlie cap for that long. Again, most of our ships, other than it looks like I think it's a Colorado, is attempting to push towards a cap at this point. And even the North Carolina that was here has turned around. I don't know why. He's almost full health. He could be helping to put down this Queen Elizabeth, but I guess I should be thankful that he lets me do that. As you'll see, I'll get a couple more fires on the Queen Elizabeth and finish her off. I believe I get one more fire on the Queen Elizabeth, and that seals her fate. There's the second fire, and that should seal her fate at this point. Okay, now we have a 2-ship advantage, but we are down by 70 points, and there's the Moss, and I will go in and finish him off here in a moment. We just lost our Gneisenau, so now we're down by almost 200 points. Situation has become quite desperate, and I think only now is the team recognizing that we are going to, in fact, you'll start seeing comments in chat that we need to start getting caps, which is what our battleships should have been pushing to get, since now that there's no, especially now that there's no destroyer threat. I still have somebody aiming at me, and I'm not sure who it was that could spot me. And then I realize it's a combination of the Grafspee and the North Carolina. Now, I have to be very careful here because I can be fired upon by the North Carolina over there. In fact, he's likely targeting me now. And he can citadel me at any angle, so I have to be very careful of what he is doing. Yep, and he gets a good hit on me here. And there's not much I can do if I'm invisible to him. I suppose I could have stopped firing, but we were really desperate to get more ships down, and we finish off the Grafspee. Again, that puts us almost even on points, and there's only 2 ships left, but the team has realized, I guess I hope, that no one is capping, and we're going to lose. And we have 3 battleships that could all slide into B to get it. Now, because I'm in no position as a light cruiser to drive a point capture, because I'll just get deleted. My focus now is to provide supporting fire on the Tirpitz, which I know is occupied by the 3 battleships that are near Bravo. And I'm deliberately keeping the island between me and the North Carolina, so the North Carolina cannot fire on me. Now, at this point, we're really desperate. We should get into a cap. We need to focus the ship. You would think that the 3 battleships that are closest to the Tirpitz should be concentrating on destroying the Tirpitz, but at least one of them, including this Monarch to my starboard, is firing on the North Carolina. So we almost have the Tirpitz down. And in fact, somebody gets a really good shot on him, but doesn't quite get the Tirpitz down. But now the game is basically lost. We can't, and there it goes, and that's the game. And we lose. So a very frustrating game. And here you'll see in the game results that my particular performance and the performance of Jimijaz and Lynn Wilkie were actually quite good. We came in top 3 in the match in terms of experience earned. But the rest of our team, despite having overwhelming power at Delta and an ability to push into Bravo, never took it, and so we lost the match. I hope that you found this replay interesting and hopefully a little bit informative, and hope to see you out there on the seas. Happy sailing, everyone, and thanks for watching.